Welcome to this week's episode of Analyzing Chazal. This week we'll be analyzing the commentary of the Sforno on this week's Parsha, Parshas Shmos. Let's go to the Pasuk. Parak Aleph, Pasuk Ches. Pasuk says as follows: Vayokom melech chadosh al Mitzrayim asher lo yada es Yosef. A new king arose that did not know Yosef. Explanation of the Pasuk. The Pasuk is telling us the reason that Paro was able to make harsh decrees against Bnei Israel, even though Bnei Israel were descended from Yosef, who did so much good for Egypt over the years. The Sforno. Af al pi shahaya zikaron mimenu b'divrei hayomim lemelachim b'li safek. Lo also alev hamelech hachadash efsharut hayoto mizeh ha'am v'shehaya im zeh roi loses panim la'amo ba'avuro. Even though there was certainly a mention of Yosef in the history books of the kings, the new king could not even imagine that the Jews were the descendants of Yosef, and that it was worthy for the Egyptians to treat the Jews nicely due to Yosef. Explanation of the Sforno. The Sforno is explaining to us how it was possible that the new king of Egypt did not know Yosef, even though he was listed in the history books as a viceroy of Egypt, since he could not believe that the Jews of that day could be in any way related to Yosef. The type of question we'll use today is the explanation given for a person's actions does not seem to be something that he could use to justify the actions he was trying to defend. Okay, so let's stop for a minute with the type of question we'll be using and the information you already have. Can you come up with a question yourself? Okay, here's the question. The question is that the logic the king of Egypt was using in order to explain why he felt justified to kill the Jews was that they could not possibly have been the descendants of Yosef and his extended family. This would be very hard to understand, as from the time that Yaakov came down to Egypt, the Jews were living in Goshen, and everyone knew that they were the family of Yosef. So is it possible that the king could deny that fact to himself and therefore justify his actions? The answer, as we always say, comes from the question, which was, is it really possible for the king of Egypt to come to such an illogical conclusion of the facts that would seem to be so clear? The answer is that yes, it is possible, because a person will always follow his opinion of the people he sees and will organize the facts based on that perception. The king of Egypt had a very disparaging view of the Jews, and based on that, his subconscious was able to convince him that all the facts he saw were coincidental, and these people could not possibly be from the family of Yosef. The practical application. In our lives, we judge people's actions based on our perception of them as good or bad people, even when the facts would seem to prove the exact opposite of our conclusion. It is very important for us, before we judge a person's actions, to make sure that our perception of them is correct, so that we will not corrupt the facts to fit our perception. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and we'll see you next week for Parshas Va'era.